Hello, hello. It is the comic book countdown again, plus a lot of haul stuff, a lot of comic book haul that will be at the end of the show. I am Damien, aka Sleepy Reader, and you're going to get my super subjective thoughts on the 15 comic books I read in the past week or so. They're actually, they came out scattered all over June, and I have a lot more comics from June that I still haven't read, which I'll be showing you later in the video. And so, yeah, I'm not sure what week or weeks, multiple weeks that these comics came out, but there just happened to be the order I read them in. Um, it is warm, but it's going to become hot, hot, hot here in Portland, Oregon. There'll be some kind of crazy heat wave coming our way. I think it's already down in California. So I will probably be cowering inside with the air conditioning. Um, but I don't know. Hopefully, I'll get to read some comics. I will sadly probably miss a lot of one of my favorite summer events, the Portland Blues Festival. I may try to sneak down there early in the day before the temperatures get too high. We'll see how bad things are. I also wanted, before I go on, to show you guys this Comics Curing Cancer, um, what we'd call pin-up comic book full of pin-up drawings by members of the community and a few, perhaps a few professional artists who are associated with the community. This is one of the greatest things going on in that the greater YouTube's comic community does, led by Legion of Comics, DJ Lynx, and Rob's Fat Slabs. Wait, is that Rob's Fat Stacks? I'm sorry. He does Slabs Only, a show I don't watch because I don't like slabs. But this thing is amazing. So all the money raised by this goes to the American Cancer Society, along with all the other money that they raise. Apparently, they already raised a lot of money at what's it called? The con in North Carolina that everyone went to. And the whole auctions and everything are still to come. I'll put a link. Probably I got this through their Instagram account, so I'll put a link to that or maybe directly to the page. So here's a sampling of some of the artwork. Many of these are by, at least familiar to me, members of the community. Like this is by Roscoe. This is by man, I'm having brain fart after brain fart today. Uh, Taylor Winder. I have some T-shirts by Taylor Winder. Um, There's some more stuff. Let's see. I love this Godzilla. I forget who that's by, but that is incredible. And yeah, so we got a mix of sort of professional and fan art in here. That's really cool. Oh, I love this Superman, All-Star Superman kind of pin up in the middle. Fantastic. We got Lady Thor. We got Warlock by Naaman, one of my all-time favorites, a comic book worm. And I forget who all of these are by, but I love them. I love getting. We should have more of these kind of pinup comics because I that are done by people in the community because I love it. Back here, I know this is actual Dracula's drawing, and this is Comics Journey's drawing. So yeah, this is a fantastic piece of memorabilia for those of us who are hardcore into the comic book community. Um, so anyway, the theme, the theme of this week's reading was, huh? What is the writer trying to tell me in this? So yeah, I'd say nearly half of the comics I read this week, there were bits and pieces, sometimes the entire comic, but usually bits and pieces where I was like, did I miss something? Are they not communicating something to me here? Um, so I put in at number 12, at the bottom of my list, Bear Pirate Viking Queen. We do get kind of a backstory on the Viking here, but for the most part, this story works, I guess, at a dream level where it doesn't make sense that all these people would be together. It doesn't make sense. The shifts in time and place just seem to sort of happen. The art is amazing. Um, a lot of it feels like just kind of a fine art thing rather than a comic book storytelling thing. Not that the two are mutually exclusive. Some of these panels tell stories better than others, but every panel is a really impressive work of art. Let's see. Yeah, so it's just, I don't know, it's like a weird dream. The final of the three issues came out this week, so I will be reading that soon, I hope. And maybe I will understand it all better or reread the whole thing and understand it better. But I'm sort of taking it as a dream poem with art. And I have a feeling, so I put it, I enjoyed it the least of these 12 comics, but I have a feeling I'll look back on it more than a lot of these comics and enjoy it over time, just to look at the art. We'll see. I put Into the Unbeing #1 at spot 11 because also there was a lot that didn't quite click here, that I felt intentions of the author didn't come through. The most of the coloring and the art I loved by Hayden Sherman, except, and he did his own coloring, so a lot of it looks really good. We're in a uh, post global warming future, 10 years from now, where the whole world is kind of sizzling, and lots of people have died in fires and other events. But these scientists are part of the surviving culture, and they're studying this desert in Australia. And suddenly they spot a strange growth in the landscape. And it turns out to be sort of a mountain or perhaps a living thing or something that used to be alive. Anyway, um, am I wrong or is that not good coloring? So I loved the coloring in most of this, but then things went wrong. Um, but I think my main complaint is uh, the narrative approach the writer took. I can see where they were trying to go, that there was something really interesting here, but it wasn't well formed. So instead of helping me through the story, it confused me and threw me out of the story and kept throwing me in different directions, trying to figure out this science fiction world. Um, but I think we're looking at a mix of sort of, you know, once again, Cthulhu-esque horror mixed with science and post-apocalypse. So it's a cool, it should be cool, but it just was very, very frustrating to read. Also frustrating, I'm putting at #10. I really enjoyed the first three issues of Crashdown, and this is the final issue. And it ends, to me, on a lot of question marks. Like, what happened? Did everyone die? Did only some of the people die? Who are all these uh, characters? They haven't, this should have been a longer series. They haven't had a chance to develop. They have a large number of characters. They haven't had a chance to develop them. And seemingly, I think most of them die here. Um, but there's one clear survivor, and he finds something at the end of the story, and it doesn't seem to tell me anything, although it's clearly supposed to be a big revelation. Um, but yeah, and I know the authors have talked on, I've seen them on people's YouTube channels talking about how there might be a sequel to this, and I don't see how, because again, my interpretation is everyone died, but I could be wrong. I guess I just spoiled that, except that I'm probably wrong because I didn't understand anything in Crashdown. So that's sad, something that I really liked the first three issues, and it, for me, fell apart. Perhaps I'll someday take it all back and say I read all four issues together and everything made perfect sense. Also struggling to make sense of Underheist. I think I'm pretty clear now that it's pretty clear now we're in some kind of afterlife, but it's a very confusing afterlife where they're still trying to get the stolen money to pay off debts. Um, so I guess there was some kind of magic debt collector who made it so they would be alive after they died and it would still have to pay off their debts. That's kind of a clever thing. It was done in such a confusing way. I am enjoying seeing David Lapham's artwork in color, um, particularly when it's not the nighttime scenes. And so I kind of enjoy this book, and there must be at least one more issue, but I don't know how many. And there was kind of some stuff that happened at the end that completely didn't make sense to me either, and I guess I should try not to spoil it. Love Me was more fun. I put this at number 8 in my countdown out of 12. Um, the reason why I guess I felt a little, they fell lower ranking for me is because really so little happens in this issue. It does continue the story from the previous issue, but takes a turn that I was completely not expecting. Um, Still loving the art and color. It's just the writing doesn't give us a whole lot. There's kind of an absurd scene here where these members of the mob of some sort try to kill the robot. And we live in they live in a world full of robots, so surely they would know the right way to try to kill a robot, because obviously none of the ways they attempt in here with axes and bullets and stuff and clubs work. Um, so I think overall, Love Me will be fun to read all the issues together. Each individual issue parses out such a small amount of story that it's a little weird, or a little kind of, huh? You're getting going and then it's over. Um, Profane is a new comic from Peter Milligan, a writer who's done a lot of really cool stuff, and he's also done a lot of comics that were kind of meh for me. But when he's on, he's on, and I don't think he's on with Profane. There's it's an entertaining comic, but it's a very familiar trope, it seems to me, that I've read in a lot of comic books, often by Matt Kint, um, where the hard-boiled detective discovers that he is a character in a hard-boiled detective novel. So it was good as far as it went, but it doesn't go anywhere too different or complicated so far. Maybe future issues more will happen. Um, it was a $5 book. I'll probably pick up another issue just because I've been going crazy picking up too many issues. So I'll probably keep doing that. Yeah, so it's fun. It's a fun metafictional hard-boiled detective story, but those just seem familiar. Space Ghost, also kind of familiar. I put this in at number 6. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but it also felt like it just felt like a well-done comic. In the kind of superhero sci-fi vein, with the sidekicks and the MacGuffins and stuff all handled quite well. The art I like, except for the way, what's the artist's name? Jonathan Lau. Except for the way Jonathan Lau kind of makes Space Ghost himself look a little bit too much like a 90s superhero, especially when we see his biceps and stuff. Oh, and they stuck this preview for Johnny Quest like after the 4th page of the comic book, and that was a really bad location for that. Let's see if I can get you that 90s looking space ghost that I'm talking about. Well, anyway, it's a fun comic, and it is doing a good job of kind of modernizing into kind of the standard modern superhero mold the Space Ghost mythology, such as it is. Love that cover, by the way. I hope I'm not going to discover it was artificial intelligently painted. This is really cool. Wrong Earth. I'm enjoying this. It's again, it's a funny send up of comic books, and they continue to find new ways to do it, and the art is appealing. Oh, this is the issue where they did every page as a full panel. I'm not sure why they did that. It looks nice, and it's a fun read. It goes pretty quick. I don't know why they felt the need in this particular issue to do that. Uh, Maybe the artist was rushed and it was easier to do one panel per page. But other than that, I enjoyed it quite a bit, and the the conflict between the sort of Batman 66 like Dragonfly and the Dragonfly Man and the Dark Knight kind of Dragonfly from another darker universe is the conflict between them is very fun, and worked out well. I love this cover, an homage to the Queen cover that had "We Are the Champions" on it. What was that one called? News of the World. But News of the World was a repainting of a 1954 or something like that cover of Astounding Science Fiction, and Queen hired Kelly Frias to redo his painting with Queen in it. And right here they've written after Jamal Igle after Kelly Frias. So that was like an extra bonus for me. I don't know. I like that. I don't think there's a robot in the story though. It's just a cover, nothing to do with the comic. Um, Infernals, I put it number 4. Now we're getting into all the comics that were competing for the top. Infernals, we're on issue 4 now. I wonder if it's going to end on issue 5. It felt kind of like we're leading up to a climax, but I hope not, because this has been getting better with every issue. The twists, the the machinations between heaven and hell and between different children of the Antichrist and stuff has been getting really good. And the art has stayed strong, this painted art. So I'm really, really loving Infernals. Now it sort of started, I was liking it, and now I'm loving it. It's like a really good Vertigo style book, I guess you could say. Precious Metal. I was so excited to get this, but I'm putting it at number 3, not at number 1. And I loved the art. I mean, the art in here is number 1. Um, the team of line artist Ian Bertram and color artist Matt Hollingsworth is incredible. They're kind of, I don't know, it feels like they're working hard to one up Mobius and his work in the Incal. And the whole story has that kind of Mobius and Jodorowsky feel to it. And I don't know, I felt a little disappointed in the writing. So I felt like there's a lot of points where they could have clarified quite a bit very easily. Up to the point where I had to just keep going back to figure out where is the little boy. There's a little boy who's kind of a MacGuffin, like he has some kind of special power. And actually our character experiences some kind of thing when he looks at the boy, and this is it. And I couldn't tell what he was experiencing, good or bad or anything. But apparently, so that little things like that frustrated me. Um, but the art is unbelievable, unbelievably good, in my opinion. Um, Ian Bertram took a long time to draw this because I believe he started right after they finished Little Bird, which this is a prequel to. Um, so he's been working on it for many years, and it shows. So yeah, Ian Bertram rules. And I do love that the writer Darcy Van Poltkies has given him this weird world to work in, where most humans have modifications of weird sorts. So, and there's some kind of weird religious cult that I don't get. Maybe that'll become clear as we go along. But with Little Bird, I also felt like the art was the superstar, the art and color was the superstar, and the writing was secondary. And it feels even maybe more so here. I don't know. But this is the first issue. The story has room to develop. I don't know how many issues there is. This is also very thick. It must be 60 or more pages of art. And can't find the price. And it goes for $6. So much better than $5 Profane. Where'd that go? $5 Profane with just 20 pages of art or so. Okay, but one of my favorite comics of all time, Usagi Yojimbo, is kicking up a gear in this miniseries. We're now in issue 3 of the miniseries, and it's really starting to click with issue 3 here. So I really love this. I thought I would put it at number 1 when I was reading it, but I didn't in the end. Um, So yeah, we have some pretty brutal stuff going on here in terms of bandits on the road who slaughter everybody, and kind of tragic deaths of characters we get to know, and then they seemingly die. I'm a little curious as to whether they will show up dead or not. But yeah, really loving Usagi. Really wanted to put it at number one, but I have to admit that Helen of Windhorn was the one. While I was reading it, I just got the most joy out of it. Incredible art again. There's so much good art in these comics. The artist here, Bilquis Evely, is a superstar in my mind. I mean, it's not like Precious Metal or anything. It's more traditional than that. But and her colorist, Matthias Lopez, I think they seem to always work together. Does a great job. And Tom King is doing an excellent job here. My only complaint is this font in the captions. These captions are the narration by someone who's being interviewed. They are from a long time ago, so I guess they chose that font to make it look like it came from a long time ago, but it's hard to read. But what is written there is very good. So yeah, I'm really coming to super enjoy the framing structure. So in this issue, um, the author of the biography of the other author is now dead, and they are putting all of his belongings up for auction, and that's the framing device. Because the main story is what's on the tapes that author got of the governess. But then he did not put the story that's on these tapes in the biography that he wrote because didn't directly involve the author, and it was just too wildly crazy. So anyway, really interesting, structured comic, beautiful art, beautiful writing, prose writing. So it hits all the spots for me. So that was super fun. So despite the fact that there was a lot of frustrating reads in terms of trying to figure out what's going on, there's a lot of thrilling reads too, and a lot of thrilling art. I mean, even starting with my lowest book on here had like absolutely brilliant art with the bear pirate queen. So I have so many books that I bought during June, and I even though I was way behind, every Wednesday I went to the comic book stores. I went a little crazy because I'd see, oh, that looks interesting. I want to sample that. I want to sample this. So let me show you the remaining comics from June that I have to read, and then the my first July pickups of new comics that I did today, which is Wednesday, July 3rd. And then I'll show you a bunch of back issues I've been picking up. So I still have to read The One Hand, number 5, Red Coat, number 3. I'm really looking forward to this. And I love that cover there. Love those, what do you call them, full spread covers. I decided to try Spawn. So Spawn 354. Someone said something about it online, and I decided, well, I'll jump in here. That cover's amazing. Hopefully it's not AI. Every time I see a painted cover that has a but painted digital quality, I start asking questions. Um, Butcher's Boy, number 1. Kanto, A Place Like Home, number 1. I love the colors on that cover. Um, Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. Someone told me that this art's similar to Bear Pirate Queen, but I would say it's a little more standard just from that. I haven't looked inside except right now. Haven't looked inside Crocodile Black. I thought I'd just try it. To my knowledge, it's the first indie comic that Philip Kennedy Johnson has been doing. I've seen him at Marvel and DC. Um, I don't know why. Deathstalker 1 was terrible, but it's a Conan-like story. So I thought, well, I'll try Deathstalker 2 just in case. Remote Space. I think I just liked the cover and I liked the colors inside when I was flipping through it in the store. So I picked up Remote Space. Self-Help by is just a new Image comic, so I thought I'd give it a try. I think maybe I read something about it online that made me extra interested, but I can't remember what that was now. The Writer. I heard some description of this that made me interested. I think everything he writes comes true or gives him a superpower or something. I'm not sure. Oh, this is a bit crazy to me. Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft. I only read, I think, issue 1, and then I couldn't find the other issues. And here's the final issue, issue 5. I thought, well, I'll just try reading the final issue and see how it goes. Um, Blood Brothers Mother by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo. I've seen kind of negative reviews about this, but I enjoy Rizzo's art so much, and it looks like he's taking a different approach here, like a watercolor painted approach. So that'll be different. So I just picked that up for Rizzo art. This I picked up both for the writer and the artist, James Tinian and Christian Ward, artist, although Distillery Books haven't been that great. This is called Spectrograph. So Christian Ward also does kind of a watercolor, I think it's digital, but a watercolor kind of style that is often really cool. So I thought I'd try that. And then I've got Green Arrow. Something about that cover made me want to give this a try. I haven't been reading Green Arrow in ages, not since the New 52, I think. World Tree number 11 is already out. That's a pretty cool cover. I don't know what I didn't like Drawing Blood issue number 2, or I was kind of bored with it, but I guess I thought I liked issue 1, so I thought I'd give it one more chance. These covers are not working for me. They're just a mess. I mean, individual parts of it are good, but the whole composition, I don't know. The Principles of Necromancy. I really liked issue 2 of this. This is issue 3. Do I want to put it on my pull list? We'll see after I read this. And Rare Flavors number 6. I thought it was over with issue number 5. Apparently there's more to go. This is the young filmmaker, so maybe we get a epilogue with him. Lawful, a new indie book, Greg Pak, so I thought I'd just give it a try. Creature from the Black Lagoon, issue 3. I've been enjoying in a low-key way the first 2 issues of Creature from the Black Lagoon. Oh, I'm real excited for House of Brainiac number 5 in Action Comics, and the conclusion, House of Brainiac number 6 in Superman Comics. I enjoyed the first 4 issues a ton, so hopefully that'll continue. Wasn't too excited by this, but then I saw the art was by Javier Rodriguez, and I am a fan of his artwork and his layouts especially. So I decided I'll give it a try. And maybe Mariko Tamaki can keep me interested, the writer. I've read some stuff by her that did not interest me. Oh, I'm super excited for Lester of the Lesser Gods. He's basically like, what if I became Conan? Overweight and a goofy fanboy. Sanction number 2. I was very pleasantly surprised by Sanction number 1. So I'm excited to read the next issue. And Rook Exodus. This is my least favorite of the Ghost Machine comics, but it's still kind of cool, and I want to see what's going to happen. I'm super psyched for William of Newbury issue 2. I really loved issue number 1. Then at the weird comic book store at the Dying Mall here in Portland, Floating World, I picked up The Derelict. It just looks like an odd. I don't even want to call these things are called indie comics, but they almost seem like fan made comics, right? They're not expecting to make money from these things, I don't think. And Floating World's one of Floating World's own publications, Vengeance is for the Living, which is this super fat comic. This is issue 2. I read half of issue 1. It's really fat. So I put it down and then I misplaced it. So I have to find issue 1 and read the rest of it. It's very violent B movie-esque, which seems to be one of the trends in the ultra indie world. And then let's take a quick look at the comics I picked up today. Too many comics again. I don't know why I picked up so many, but I'm having fun doing it. Picked up Kanto Place Like Home number 2. Butcher's Boy number 2. So I haven't read the first issues of either of these. I'm getting really far behind. I don't think this is from this week, but I just liked the name Galaxy of Madness, and it is from Mad Cave. So Mad Cave seems to be doing a lot of good stuff lately, so I thought I'd give it a try. Love the art of Maria Lovett, so I picked up all the things we didn't do last night, and I think this is a one shot. Um, and then the guy at the comic book store was kind of critical of this. He said the art looks horrible, and he doesn't understand why so many people are picking up this first issue. Um, but it's written by Kurt Busiek, and I've enjoyed a lot of his comics in the past, Astro City being the biggest one. So I thought I'd take a look at what Free Agents was. Local Man issue number 11. I'm way behind on Local Man, so I don't expect to catch up with this issue anytime soon. Spectrograph issue 2. I think my thinking was, even if I don't like the story, the art makes it worth my picking it up. But that's not all. I got Grendel Devil's Defiance. I figured Grendel was done after the last super sci-fi one that just sort of ended in a circular kind of fashion. But I guess not. It says here, after the events of Grendel Devil's Odyssey. So yeah, I don't really get Grendel because I guess I haven't read enough of the Grendel miniseries, and they don't explain much to you. Barbaric 2, Born in Blood. I have Barbaric 1, Born in Blood somewhere, another comic I've kind of misplaced. Space Ghost number 3. Bear Pirate Viking number 3, the final issue. I actually heard Robbie say that it comes together in this issue and that he really liked it. So I hope that's the case for me. Super excited for Conan number 12. I didn't look to see if they had other covers. I always tell them to give me cover 1, and this is cover 1. But it's a strange cover. But we still have the fabulous Della Torre art inside, and coloring by Rodriguez still, which is positive. And finally, Sam and Twitch number 4. I've been loving the Sam and Twitch series. So that's it for new comics, but there is more. How many hours have I got on already? I've been doing it pretty fast considering how much material I've got here. So this is random back issues, mostly just odd bits and bobs. Doc Savage number 1 from one of the many Doc Savage series that DC has done over the years. I love this cover, and it's written by Denny O'Neil. I think I have like 2 through 8, and now I have number 1, so I can maybe start reading this series. I was just tickled by this Harry 20 on the High Rock, but it also has Dan Dare and Alan Moore and Jim Becky's Skiz. These are colorized reprints from 2000 AD that they used to put out in the 80s. So that mix of things, I mean, I've never heard of Harry 20 on the High Rock, but it says imprisoned 100 miles above the earth with no hope of escape. And I kind of like that concept. So I got 2 Harry 20 on High Rock. This is so they're actually from a comic called 2000 AD Presents. So I imagine that a lot of these have multiple different stories going on inside of them. And in fact, this is 2000 AD Presents with 16 extra pages, still only $1.25. Oh, this is number 7, an earlier issue, which has Dan Dare on the cover, and they advertise Skiz by Alan Moore and Jim Bakey. Now 52 pages. So there's probably a bunch of other stuff in there. I just love this cover, which I'm from the Mighty Marvel Western. Is this a reprint Western mag? Probably. But this is a really nice looking cover, which I assume is drawn by Larry Lieber. Another cover I could not resist. 3-dimensional Seduction of the Innocent with a Bernie Wrightson cover. I don't know what's inside this. Let me look. I assume it's going to be 3D. It doesn't come with the 3D glasses, but I have a number of 3D glasses. So it looks like reprints, maybe, of stories from the Seduction of the Innocent era. Whoa, has quite the old comic book smell. It's from Eclipse. Do they say this is art by Matt Baker? Some 3D comics are horrible. Art by Vic Fodora, but occasionally that works. Art by Nick Cardy. So yeah, a fun novelty. I don't know what it is, but one of the novelty things I always pick up is 3D comics, even though I usually don't think they're very visually effective. And I had no idea what this is, but it's called Dragon Ring, and it's from Aircell Publishing. And I hear a few discerning collectors mention Aircell, and I don't think I've ever read an Aircell comic. So I thought I would just try Dragon Ring. Who can resist a Xenozoic Tales with this beautiful artwork? So Mark Schultz, 1987. So I'm glad to pick that up. I think that'll be black and white inside. I'm not sure what's in Vortex. I assume I should have opened some of these. I assume it's a an anthology comic from Vortex, the comic book company Vortex. It's black and white. We got Trina Robbins, Ron Sutton, Steve Lealoa, Jeff Morgan. I don't know who Jeff Morgan is, but anyway, so that'll be fun to um I get a discount on these, so the I pay a bit like 25% less than what you see there. There's another Vortex. This looks like a is it a Bill Sienkiewicz cover? Pum 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 Vortex. I don't know who this cover's by. That's kind of fun. Maybe that's Trina Robbins? I don't know. Oh, this one is open. Giving credit the covers back in those days. No, I don't see any. That looks like Linda Barry, maybe, or an imitator. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to find another I think 80s, maybe 90s, 80s, I think. Here's a Stacy Keach cover. It says 83 on the cover. Um Ooh, two cute little piggies. Who did this? Who did that cover? I don't know. Here's one of Vortex's big comics was Mr. X. There's a Mr. X cover by Revoch in 83. Nice painted cover. We've got some more Vortex in here. Let's see. This looks like by Jamie Hernandez. Is that right? I don't know. And this looks like claymation or something. Number 5. What's the more Vortex over here? Is there? No, I guess I just bought those two Vortexes today. Um, and then who could resist a Charles Byrne cover, Death Rattle, which I think it's kitchen sink. I guess it started in the 60s, I think, Death Rattle. Wasn't it like a environmental comic? Or maybe I'm confusing it with something else. But it continued into is this the 90s or 80s? Anyway, love that cover. I'll have to explore it more. Yeah, and then finally, I don't know if my shop has had these for a long time, but I think years ago I was looking for all the little dots I can find. Particularly like Little Dot Uncles and Aunts, because she has all these crazy uncles and aunts. There's always a new one in every story, or almost every story, and each one's a weird eccentric. So that's Little Dot Uncles and Aunts. Little Dot Dotland, with her own version of the Creature from the Lost Lagoon, Black Lagoon, but he's got dots on him, so of course she's got to collect him. There's Little Dot at the theater. Little Dot Aunts and Uncles again. Little Lotta Foodland. She likes to eat a lot. Can't make those kind of jokes anymore, can we? Little Lotta in Foodland number 23. I love Little Lotta. She has a great personality. I don't care. I don't care what modern people would say. There's a little dot in Dotland, and another little dot aunts and uncles. So that was exciting for me to find all of those. And I guess the one or two of them was a little bit more, like I like to pay around $4 or $5 for them. One or two was a little higher than that, but other than that, so my video is over at last. 40 minutes. Any of you who've lasted the full 40 minutes, thank you very much. This t-shirt is by a guy named Skinner. I think he just goes by one name, Skinner, who I follow on Instagram, and I think his drawings are really cool, and he does sell some t-shirts. So I bought a couple of those. Talk to you all later. Have a great 4th of July if you live in the US and the heat waves aren't oppressing you. We'll talk later.